All right. Let's see. You are live. Okay. I think I'm live. It might be buffering a little. It did a little bit at first the last time I streamed. You are so live. I lowered my bit rate, so hopefully that helps a little. Can you guys hear me okay? Is the music too loud? Oh my goodness. Hello, everybody. Wait, before I say hi, I want to say hello to everyone watching in the future, because I know not everyone can come to a live stream. If you are watching in the future, today I'm launching my new brushes, and I'm very excited. The launch countdown is right there, so that's what's happening today. I'm going to do a little painting. I really want to talk to you guys about supplies in general, because I'm just like stuck in my studio alone and I love geeking out about art supplies. So think about what is the one or two best supply that you discovered this year, art supplies. I want to know. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I'm also going to paint and we're just going to hang out for a little while. And yeah, okay, so now, hello everybody. It's so good to see. There's so many familiar faces that I've seen in lots of past streams. And of course, Patreons. Hello. This is my first live stream, I think in over a year. So I'm a little rusty. It took so long to set up this room because I changed around like all of my furniture, all of my desks, everything. And now it's just a completely different setup for streaming. So bear with me. There might be a few glitches here and there. But oh, hi everyone. In a minute, I'm gonna jump over to the paint station and then we can get started and I'll show you the brushes as well. If you haven't seen my last video, I did like a whole unboxing and close-ups of the brushes, which is probably better to watch if you really want to see what the brushes are like. And they launch in like 27 minutes. Just a heads up, the company told me there are over 300 people signed up. Actually, I think it was 350. And the brushes are limited this first time to a few hundred boxes. So if you want them, you probably need to like, get them soon. I'm not sure like what the deal is if we sell out right away, if we can do another run, or if it'll be like a different box, or I don't know what the deal is with that. I just know that they're limited at the moment. So, Heidi, thank you so much for that. How are you doing, Heidi? It's been a while. I know, Heiko. And it's so funny. You're watching the stream from America instead of Germany. How weird. You're working on a mural. Oh, cool. I wish I could do a mural here. I wish. We don't own this place, so once we own our own place, you guys, it is going to turn into like an artist haven. It's going to be such a dream. I'll be able to do whatever I want to it, customize everything, paint every single wall if I want to. Because I love the idea of doing murals of like really cool fantasy like forests. So you're in the room and it almost feels like you're in the forest. But yeah, I can't do that. I mean, I could maybe, but I'd have to paint all over it and that would be sad. Hi, Pat. Patrick Donahue is my brother. Everyone go follow him. He has a really great geology channel. I learn a lot watching his channel. Excuse me, I need a cough drop. I have a stash of cough drops in my pocket because I'm still sick. Here's to a sold out launch. On one hand, a sold out launch is cool. That's good. But on the other hand, it's kind of sad for people who want them enough to either wait or like get a different set in the future. I'm gonna have my phone next to me when I paint, so I don't, because my chat on the screen is a little bit small. Oh, she's at work? Oh, well, you can show her the highlights from the replay, maybe. Yes, geology. He also does rock hounding and gems. I'm sorry, this cough drop is, it probably sounds awful in the microphone. But it's better than me coughing up a lung because it's really loud and awful. Oh, you told Fiend? That's awesome. Oh, I gotta go watch some streams soon. Thank you. You discovered water-soluble graphite. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna jump over to the painting setup. It's gonna be like this. And I'll make my lighting a little better. Excuse me, my shirt is gonna be right here. Make that brighter. Is that good? Can you see pretty well? I just have it open to the most recent page. Hi, TJ. I'm trying to gently move the microphone so I don't make anyone's ears bleed. You have double audio. I do? No, I don't. Do I? Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm so sorry. That was such a noob move of me. Oh my gosh. It's because my camera, my painting camera right here was picking up audio as well. I'm so sorry. I'm such a noob. You guys, do you even know? I used to stream on Twitch like every day for years, and now I can barely handle one stream. I'm so sorry. Yeah, okay. Everyone is saying it's echo. Okay, I'm gonna get my chat over here. Now I can see you really up close. Oh gosh. My phone is listening and typing what I say. Okay. I think we're all good though. It's like weird to suddenly look down at my phone and not at the screen. But it's the same thing. I see both chat. Although oddly, my computer's chat is faster than this one. Just like a little bit. Okay. Gently move the microphone. I'm very careful with the microphone because it's a really nice microphone. It'll pick up like sounds like crazy. Okay, let's look. I gotta get in the habit of looking at this chat because it'll be next to me while I paint. Good morning from Melbourne. Wow, good morning. What time is it there? 1,000 years in the future. Actually, Wolfie has relatives in Perth, I believe. And we're always, whenever we do video chats with them, it has to be like really strange hours for both of us. Thank you guys. You guys want a sneak peek of the sketchbook? I don't think I've shown everything, but it's my Stillman and Byrne Nova sketchbook. I think it's my favorite sketchbook actually. It handles watercolor decently, but I prefer it with gouache and drawing and other mixed media. So I'll just go fast. You probably have seen a lot of these in the videos. These especially, because I did a whole series, a video series on these. The Plein April paintings. Oh. No, yeah, no, never mind. Half of these I painted outside, half of them were in the studio. This is like a little exercise. You like you print out a photograph and then you put some vellum on it and you draw over the major elements you want to paint later, and then you think about the way the eye is flowing through it, and then you from that you change things in your thumbnail, and then you do a painting, and then you add more vellum and you do little notes that make it better for the next time you paint it. So yeah, really good if you're trying to break down the landscape. I like to print little photographs and then paint from them instead of looking at a computer screen. Water soluble graphite, and then we're here. So I don't have that many pages done. I mean, it's a fair amount, but okay. Hello, everybody. So many people showing up. Wow. This is the most people I've ever had in a stream, I think. Or it's the most people I've had in a stream this year. Because it's the only stream I've done this year. Okay. So, if you have not watched the video about the unboxing and everything, I will show you a quick thing. This is the box. I painted this specifically for this box. Little sketches. Excuse me. Oh no, the coughing. The cover. And the brushes, which I've been using, so they're a little dirty. If I have to cough a lot, I'll just mute it. So we'll just take them out. It's very exciting. I think I did 3 different versions of the brushes before we got to this final set. So now those are like my backup brushes. Oh, and on the inside of the box, you get this little print. So you get the print of the cover art with it and some info on the back. They made a whole section about how to take care of your brushes. And you get 7. And there's 3 or 4 flat brushes, 2 round pointy brushes, and it's a rigger, but it's kind of like a script brush. Basically for really tiny details. This cough drop is not working very well. Tell us about your camera setup. Maybe that'll have to be a different video. How many sets will be available? They said a few hundred. It's like 300 or 400. But there's more people signed up to buy them than there are boxes. So. Okay. Sorry, it's like really hard to talk sometimes. What changed the different iterations? Yep. The thickness, the softness or hardness of the hairs, the length, everything. And mainly the width, actually. So at first I had different sizes, and then I realized, like, I had a couple at first that were basically the same, and I was like, no, we need more variety. So then I think that's when we added another round brush. Yeah, but for me, like, you guys have seen my brush collection in some videos, and this is not even half of them. Oh God. Everything is fine. These are some of the first editions of the brushes. So, needless to say, I have a really good idea of what kind of brushes I like using because I've tried so many. I'm kind of a brush addict. And I forgot what I was saying. Oh well. Yeah, I kind of knew what I was looking for when I started this process, but actually getting the brushes and using them a lot. And I really challenged myself, unless I was painting outside, or occasionally doing something weird in the studio, I was only using this set of brushes for basically the whole summer. So I could like figure out, is this set versatile enough? Is this set allowing me to do what I love doing? The main difference was sometimes I would use a bigger brush if I was using really big paper. So this one, the biggest you get is the 3/4 inch. So for my size, my typical size, like a page this big, or I don't know, sometimes a little bit bigger horizontally. This one is decent, but if you're going bigger than that, you probably want to add another big brush to the set. On your own, that is. Yes, I know, I'm sorry. I wish I wasn't sick. It makes recording videos really challenging too. Like the last few videos I put out with my voice, it took hours to record just like 5 minutes worth of usable stuff. I think I saw another question. If I miss a question in chat, just keep asking and maybe tag my name so that I see it easier. Hi, Tammy. Good morning, Madge. Good morning, everybody. 4:38 in Melbourne. Oh, I'm scrolling way back. Oh my gosh. There is a link in my description of this video for buying them. They don't go live for like 12 minutes. Stuck in my hair. I think I saw a question about are they better for gouache or watercolor? Both. So that's why in the last few videos I was demonstrating both gouache and watercolor because I use them for both interchangeably. But I definitely designed them to be more for gouache. So there's 4 flat brushes in the set, which means if you don't like painting with flat brushes, that might dictate whether you want them or not. But for me, like, I only use flat brushes for gouache. I can, and I do sometimes use them for watercolor, but if I'm doing like a piece, these 2 are watercolor and these 2 are gouache, and there's just different versions of like the same scene. So I used my round brushes, these 2 little guys, plus the detail one for them. And for this size, I loved it. If I was doing a big painting, like bigger than 8x10 or 9x12, I would not, like, I would have to have a bigger brush to start with, and then these would be like my detail brushes. So if you already have smaller detail brushes that you love and you don't like flat brushes, you probably don't want the set. Did that answer your question? But yeah, I did design them with gouache in mind. That was my whole reason for doing this in the first place. Because at the time when Craftamo reached out to me, I was in the process of buying so many gouache, or I call them gouache brushes. They're basically flat brushes. I spent like $200 in the past 2 years on flat brushes, just like trying different hair types and lengths and widths and all of the different things. And because of that, I was like, okay, I know exactly what I want. I just don't have a set of like every size of brush that does what I want. So these ones are a little bit, like these in particular, these smaller ones, they're a little bit longer and a little bit softer in the 3 most used sizes that I use. And then this one is a pretty standard 3/4 inch brush, but it's a little soft. So like in the video I posted my last video, you can see each one in action and like the differences that they do. And yeah, that was the main thing. And there are probably companies out there that make brushes very similar, but I was like, why not just design one that to me is like the perfect set. So if someone paints similarly to my style or my techniques, like they just need one set of brushes. That was the thought process. Yes, okay. I think I saw one more question. Also, thank you guys for the well wishes. I went to Sky the first week of December, and it was amazing. Amazing. And then I got the flu, which then became bronchitis. And now it's like this, I'm getting over bronchitis. I'm pretty much past that point, but they said it's now basically like a post-nasal drip kind of thing where it just like, this is all TMI, isn't it? But basically my sinuses and everything are just not happy, which makes streaming challenging. Oh my goodness, hi Fiend! Hello, hello! Everyone, it's Fiend! Fiend is an amazing artist, and I used to like watch Fiend's channel before I even ever started streaming. Or well, it was like around when I started streaming. I would watch his channel when I was at my design job, just to like get me through the day. So everyone go follow Fiend on all the social medias. And he streamed on Twitch when I started watching him. And then I was like, yeah, Fiend is cool. And then we met in person. Fiend is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. How you use each of the new brushes. Yeah. I mean, we can paint. Do we just want to paint? I feel like we should just paint. Yeah. But quickly to describe it, the flat, I'll run down the brushes really quick and tell you exactly how I would approach, and then we'll paint, okay? So, the big brush, I always use this one to start, to lay in any big flat areas of color or to fill in the majority of my base layer. And then I slowly go down to the second biggest flat brush and I start chunking in bigger shapes like this mountain shadow and some of the mountain shapes. And then I go down another smaller one and I start laying in some of the grassy details, or if it's like smaller details like the background mountain. And these once I'm done with the majority of like the composition and like laying in the main sections of the painting, I use these. So the really small flat brush is excuse me, I'm gonna cough now. All right. The really small flat brush is really small, so you can get a fair amount of detail with it, but these, I designed the round brushes to be particularly pointy, so I can get super, super fine details with them. So for instance, the teeny, 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 tiny brushes, branches on these trees, I did with this one. This one, I could also do it with this one, but I tend to use this one more for like grasses, sometimes branches too, but this one, like, especially in really small work, because it's shorter and slightly stiffer, I can like really get in there and just like delicately graze the tip of the fine hairs across the paper, like really in control. Whereas the rigger brush, it's long and flexible. So if I'm doing like quick branches and quick grasses, which I do a lot in my paintings, then this one is ideal because it's just like I get to be a little more like loose and free with it. And this one is good for like fine, in control detail, I guess. So there's my breakdown of how I use the brushes, and that's pretty much the same with watercolor, but I use the flat ones less with watercolor. Thought I was gonna sneeze. Excuse me. I'm preparing my next cough drop. I'm gonna go with the dark one. I'm using Jakeman's cough drops. This one I have now is like a lemon one, and it's a little more subtle, whereas this one is like, pow! Pow, right in the kisser. Thank you, Fiend. Hi, Ashley. Mrs. Barnabas and Jay Shelby and everyone. Hello, hello. It's so great to see so many familiar faces. If the brush is still out, will there be more, or is this the one time only? I've been talking to them about the idea of doing a second run, which we might do, but it's like we don't know when, because the whole point in doing this first run was to kind of gauge interest. I honestly didn't think there would be a huge amount of interest because I have a relatively small following compared to some of the other artists who they've worked with. So initially I was like, maybe we should do like a smaller, just like a few hundred boxes, see how it goes, and then maybe do a second release down the road, or do like a different box, like do a different art, different box, have a second edition kind of thing. But yeah, I'm not sure when that would be. I think we could, if we sell out really quick, there would be like a huge incentive to do another one, but it might not, like depending on manufacturing times, it might be next year. This time it took many months because of all the delays happening in the world, unfortunately. Like we started the whole design process in March and it's December now, so that gives you an idea. Half of that was design, but then a lot of it was like waiting for packaging manufacturing and packaging and everything. Thank you guys. Hello from South Africa. Hello. It's so cool that there are people from like every country. It's just amazing. I really appreciate all of your kind words and encouragement and all the comments you leave on my normal videos. I mean, it's like funny because I'll make a video and I'll post it and I'll just be like, oh, okay. Like I need to take a break from using my computer, because at that point I have been like editing for 2 days straight and doing all like typing up all the things and posting it, and usually doing a blog post as well. So I want to like shut off my brain, and then I'm like, oh no, wait, people are going to comment. So then I get back into the comments and I get so excited by the comments. Oh, and okay, now since we're about to launch the brushes, for those of you who do plan on buying them, I think you just go to the website, refresh it when it's 6 p.m. in the UK or whenever this little counter counts down. Hopefully it just like goes smoothly. If you have any issues, I don't run the website. I don't have anything to do with the website. I'm just the artist. I'm the face of the brushes. I designed them and all that, but like they handle all of the customer service, all of the shipping, everything. So, you know, talk to them if you need help with something. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Let's paint. How am I gonna set up my thing? I'm standing because I have back issues. And when I sit and lean forward and paint for a while, I get like shooting pains, and it's been really bad lately because I've been sick and sitting more often. So, you know, standing while painting, while streaming, and trying to talk to chat is always a challenge. Ta-da. Look how messy it is already. I cleaned this twice since my video about cleaning the palettes. So if you haven't seen that, I did like a deep clean of this palette. I did close-ups and everything. And that was earlier this summer, sometime this summer. And I've had to clean it twice since then because I just dig around in there and I cross-contaminate all my colors and I'm just not careful. Like, I'm surprised my yellow is still yellow. It is so exciting to see the art on the package. I can't even tell you. When I first got the box, I like screamed. I fell out of my chair. And when you open it and then it has all this, like my logo and the paintings that I've done, like, yeah, that was pretty awesome. Leslie, hello, another amazing artist you guys should all be following, who maybe will someday make YouTube videos. No pressure. Brushes are alive. Let's go Sorry, I'm trying not to yell because I'm right next to the mic. We're gonna be quiet now. We're gonna go to the website. They're live! Oh my gosh, how exciting! The brushes are live on the website. The link is in the description. Wow, that is so cool. I didn't mention this to them, but like I should have. The pictures they took of the box is like, they're so dark, but it was like a couple days ago when the photos went up before it was just my logo, and I was like already doing a million other things. I'm like, oh, I don't want to mess with the system. And then I was like, well, the only people that will probably buy them know me and wouldn't care. So I was like, whatever. Okay. Your palette gets mold. Oh no. Luckily, I've never had that in this palette. I think it's because I clean it relatively often-ish. And I have spritzed a little bit of clove oil in some of them that are usually have problems. Oh, you ordered them. I really appreciate all of the purchases as well. I do get supported by the purchases. I get a commission from them. So it's not like I just did this and like the company gets all the profits. Like you are also supporting me. So thank you. I really appreciate everyone's excitement about this. And you're all getting like first dibs basically because I'm gonna send out a newsletter blast and talk about it on social media next week. If like, I don't think they'll be sold out that fast. So I think the company also, if you had signed up to get notified when they go live, the company also sends out a notice or an email. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting distracted. How exciting! Let me move this text a little because it's already live. I'm just gonna leave it there though, because like that was kind of the point, you know. Oh, thank you. And if you guys buy them and you are using them, please tag me if you post like stories on Instagram or videos or whatever, or posts. Please tag me so I can see them in use because that's also super exciting. And maybe like down the road when if they sell out or something, I'll like do some screen grabs of people using them and show what has been made with them because that's just really awesome. How many brush sets are sold in this first release? I think they said 3 or 350. There were like 1,000 emails between me and the coordinator there, so I'm sorry. I don't know all the specifics, but it was a few hundred. But like they have big artists working with them, artists with like hundreds of thousands of followers across all of their platforms, and those artists sell out. And it was like we kind of had to gauge the interest level. For my first time, I've never made a product with anybody before, so this was very exciting. Okay, question. Press 1 in chat if I should add tape, or press 2 if say screw it and just get messy on the page. Do you want me to tape off the page or should I just leave it messy? Tape would then mean there will be a tape peel at the end of stream. I'll probably be streaming for like an hour. I don't know how long it'll take me. Oh, thank you guys. You got in early. Yes, you guys are the first people probably to buy the brushes. Even before the company sends out their email, like everyone. Wow, a lot of people say no. They don't want, they just want me to get messy. I can't count all of these. I thought it would be like an obvious thing. Why do you want me to get messy on the page? We'll do a tape peel because I think the people who really like tape get triggered without it. Like some people have commented on my videos. They're like, why don't you tape off the edges? It looks so bad when it's all messy. I don't care. Like, I love it either way. But I thought that was funny. Like, people actually get annoyed by that. First I need to actually have tape. Sorry, I'm like in the way. Oh. Well, that almost decided it for me. It says low stock already? Seriously? If anybody goes to the website and sees that it's sold out, will you please tell me? Because that would be insane. I mean, yeah. Actually, I'll leave that there and I'll just zoom in a little. And we'll move it a little closer. Why am I looking up at my screen, which I can barely see? Why don't I look here? Okay. So as a reminder, feel free to ask questions throughout the stream. If you're watching in the future and I haven't answered something, ask in the comments. Oh my god, there's so much cat hair. No. I'm gonna be painting a scene from my trip to the Isle of Skye. Oh, thank you. It's, honestly, I was really nervous to do this. I almost said no to their initial email because I was like, that imposter syndrome kicks in so hardcore. Ooh, I just realized I could put this here. Maybe. It might fall off. That's perfect. Now I can see chat easier. Yeah, the imposter syndrome is serious. Especially when you like, okay, it's one thing to post videos online and just like do your thing. It's another when you commit to something like this where like the company is on the line as much as you are. Like they have to believe in you, you have to believe in you. Yeah. The more cat hair, the more loved I am. Is that it? Is the same trip to Skye that you recently posted on your other channel? Yes, it is. If you watch my other channel, I posted 2 videos already from that trip, and I'm posting the third one tomorrow. I was gonna post it Sunday, but it's ready, so I'm gonna post it tomorrow. Wow, a lot of people have it in their shopping cart. Oh my god. I'd love to know how you conquer imposter syndrome. Well, in this case, what I did was like, I just thought about it logically. I was like, okay. I told the company, this is how many followers I have on this many platforms. This is how many Patreons I have. This is like when I do a print release or something like that. This is how many orders I usually get. But I have never done a product before, so I have no idea what to expect. And they said, based on like all of the numbers they saw, a few hundred boxes would be reasonable to start with. Like some artists they work with, they'll start with like 500 or 1,000 boxes or something because they have a huge following. And so I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, okay, like the last thing I want is to do this and then sell like 10 and the company loses all this money and I'm like, ugh, like I'm not into that. So they were sure, and that encouraged me. That gave me enough courage to say yes, I guess. But yeah, I have imposter syndrome with every single thing I do, but that was definitely the biggest that I've faced. So in case you're just showing up, I just launched my brushes and now I'm gonna use the brushes to paint something. And if this painting sucks, that means the brushes suck. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, I should actually say as a caveat, buying these brushes won't make you a good artist. Buying any art supplies won't make you a good artist, but they can make the journey more fun, more enjoyable. Art supplies are just there to help you along in your journey. Like, you have to be the one to sit down and do the work and practice and focus, but art supplies are there to support you. So you can't sue me if you buy them and like suddenly you can't paint something. Dropping everything. Okay, we're gonna just jump into this painting. I'm not even gonna do a sketch. What's wrong with me? Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Watching the count on the page is exciting. Oh, there's a count. That is so cool. Oh, that's nice. Because then someone sitting there like, oh, I have to wait till next week, or like, do I do it now or next week? If you don't know. They just launched and you already have them? Wow, that's fast shipping. I know. VIP. Oh man. I'm not sure if they offer it, but I'm assuming they offer tracked shipping. But again, I don't deal with the shipping. That's all on them. They handle everything with the brushes now. Okay. Will they ship from the UK? I believe so. The company's based here. You're a bit nervous, but we're here for you. Oh, I need white. Jeez. That's like the one thing I can't paint without. I need white when I'm using gouache. Oh, good. Tracking shipping is just it's a relief, honestly. Like, without it, you're just constantly wondering. Okay. You know what would also help is if I clamp this page down, because it's a little springy. Oh, and by the way, there is the holiday. The holiday is in between now and the holiday is tomorrow. Come on. Oh, there we go. So the holiday might delay shipping a day or two. I'm not sure. All right, I need cough drop number 2. Sorry. No, not yellow. Where am I putting? I thought I had a whole stash in my pocket. I was gonna celebrate with some champagne and like have a New Year celebration with you all, but I figured being sick, that would be a bad idea. I will have a little champagne tomorrow for sure. 50%? Wow, okay. Well, okay, so if they do sell out, I'll definitely be talking to them and trying to get more brushes out there. Like, if you sign up on the notify list, you know, if it gets sold out, sign up on the get notified list, and you know, you'll get notified. Okay, let's touch paint onto paper, just like old times. Oh, Barbara, thank you. That was so nice of you. The cute stuff on their website poses danger. I know. I'm sorry. So this is the big one. This is the 3/4 inch. And I'm gonna use it to just lay down the major areas of the painting. Oh man, I just wiped my paper towel in the white paint. Also, thank you. Wait, is Craftomo in the chat? I see people tagging them. And I know I've missed some comments. I apologize. It's really hard to do anything. It's difficult to talk, let alone paint and keep up with chat. That's moving very fast. You guys are a very fast chat. Zero resistance. Oh. It will be a Christmas gift. Awesome. They are here. Hi, Craftomo. Oh, I see you now. Hi. So now I'll do the land masses. What color? Probably gonna do like kind of a neutral bluish muted color. Oh, this cough drop is so much better than the other one. This one is I mean, none of them are perfect. What I like to think about with my brushes is use the biggest brush for as long as possible to get in the most amount of paper covered, and then go down to the smaller brushes, because otherwise you can get so caught up in the details like early on in the painting, and that can be disastrous. Not always, but yeah, like that's the I don't know where I heard that, but I heard it years ago and it always stuck with me. Using as little water as possible at the moment, just enough to kind of get it to flow. That's why I like flat brushes, because it's so easy to tell how much water is in your brush, whereas round brushes like generally hold a ton of water, and if you aren't quite sure the ratio of water to gouache, it can be a big mess. This is the point of the painting, or this early stage of the painting is like when we call it the ugly phase, when it's just blocking in the shapes, but you have to go through it. Every painting has to start somewhere. And I'm painting a very earthy landscape. Sorry, not like, I didn't mean earthy. Well, it is earthy. but there's like no green grass. It's all like old dried heather and dried grasses. And so it's a very reddish brown. But I'll come back in and I'll layer some shadows and I'll layer some highlights and all of that. And I'll show you how I use the brushes to do that. But I need to let this first layer dry completely. Excuse me. The honey lemon are nice, but the black Jackmans are stronger. Yeah, that's why I have that one now, because I need it to be like really strong because I'm talking, which makes my throat dry. Is it possible to put out the reference photo you're using on screen? I could. Oh gosh, where is it? This is the reference. Well, you can't really see it. It's like really small. Here you go. Here's a quick look at it. And it's going back down. There we go. Love watching you paint live. I know, I miss it. Like, being able to chat with you guys while I paint is so fun. Although I am rusty at it. I'm sorry. Also, it's really good if you guys have a question, start your words with question. I'm seeing those really easily. Okay. But like when you're doing a landscape like this, you can really start with anything because you're layering. Like, if I wanted to, I could have made my mountains gray and then come back on and painted blue shadows into them. But instead I started with blue, and I'm going to come back in with some warmer highlights and add those. And I could have started the landscape down here with like warm yellows and stuff and then layered darker tones into it. It just depends on you. When I see the mountains, I see blue. When I see the landscape, I see orange. That's like my first reaction, and so that's why I started with these colors. But now, because I can easily layer, as long as the paint is completely dry and I don't put a ton of water in my brushes, I can easily layer a bunch of times, like 3 or 4 times. And by the way, if you end up if you stain your bristles, this will come out if I use General's brush cleaner, I think the name is. There's a few different brush cleaners out there, but that's the one I have, and I use it for like oil paint and all that too. But it like gets everything out of my brushes. So if it bothers you when you have brushes that are stained like that, that was when I was swatching my phthalo green. I freaking hate phthalo green. I was like, why am I doing this? I just want to throw it away. But the other day I swatched all of my gouache. Anyway, yeah, so now it's very, very stained. What sketchbook paper? This is the Stillman and Byrne Nova sketchbook. I love this sketchbook. Like, I don't love it for watercolor, but if I'm just doing like loose ink and wash kind of stuff, then it's totally fine. Oh, that's disgusting. That tastes like cough syrup. Eating a cough drop and then drinking water. But I need to drink water because my throat is like so dry. That's disgusting. 60%. Oh my gosh. Save some for people tomorrow, guys. I'm like debating if I want to just blast this with the heat gun. I think it's actually pretty much dry though. This sky, I layered a decent amount of white into it, so that's not completely dry, but I'm not really going over that anymore, so. Yes. Do you guys want to see something? I'm gonna share this more stuff about this on my Patreon, but you can get a sneak peek here. Maybe I'm lying. I can't put it on the screen. I'll put it on here. I took a photo of my full... This is all of my gouache. I have ridiculous amounts of lemon yellow and ultramarine for some reason. But it's... a couple people gifted me some colors, and then a couple companies sent me some colors. And so it had been a while since I like took an inventory. Excuse me. So it was overdue. Okay. Coughing done. After this, I'll have some tea with honey, and it'll be good. It'll be good. Okay. Let's see. Let's do a little shadow work. So now I'm using my second smallest flat brush, the 1/2 inch, and I'm just gonna dust some shadows onto the mountains. So it's a very dry brush texture, like just on the shadow side. Thank you, my lady. It helps to squint when I do this. Just to like kind of see if you're getting them in the generally the right place. I'm not trying to match it perfectly, but just to kind of give that, it was like low sun in the sky, so it was kind of hitting it at this side angle. There were a lot of shadows, so I can kind of play that up if I want, or I could do less of them. It just depends. But I'll also do a couple warm highlights here and there. And I'll probably just use that same color to do some of the shadowy bits on the ground and the foreground. Hey, Sketches and Scrubs, hello! Well, you call it confidence. I call it... I don't know what I call it. I'm like 99% of the time I'm just like, let's try this. Let's see what happens when I do this. But at this beginning stage, the main thing I always try to remember is like it's gonna change a lot before the end. Like I can't let this first messy layer throw me off. That is very hard actually. Like when you're in the beginning stages and it obviously doesn't look like you want it to look because it has a long way to go, you can kind of get into this mode where like, oh my god, how am I gonna save this part? How am I gonna do this? I sometimes let that beat me, and then I'm like just disappointed. But like patience, it will teach you patience. Gouache, if nothing else, will teach you patience. Also, I do find that like looking away, stepping back, looking away, looking at it with fresh eyes occasionally really helps. Because you can definitely get just really bogged down in, or you get like paint blind. Sometimes I call it painting blind because you're so used to staring at it. You're just like, it's hard to see what's wrong, or not wrong, but like what you need to do to make it the way you want it. Does that make sense? It's probably not light enough. That's awesome, Laura. Hey, Colleen. Good morning. It's almost 6:30 here. Originally, I was thinking, oh, I'll just stream for like an hour, but then I remembered, I'm like, this is what always happens. I always stream longer than I think because paintings take longer, and I'm just like caught up, having fun chatting to people. Aww. It's the most humbling, ugly face I've ever experienced. You haven't seen it in mine? You must have seen it in mine. We all have it. We all go through it. And it also does depend on like where you're at in your art journey. Like to me, at this point in my art journey, right now, this is hideous. It makes me wanna like quit forever. No, I'm kidding. That's dramatic. But it's because I have this vision in my head, and we all go through this. We have the vision in our head of what we want it to be, and like we just have to get there. We just have to put the paint to the paper. So yeah. That's it. That's what I'm saying. From now on, when I lose my train of thought, I'm just gonna be like, and that's it. Thanks for playing. It's in the afternoon there. Okay. Oh, thank you, everyone. Okay. I'm gonna brighten this a little. Sometimes I hold my brush like this so that I can just lightly graze it, because the pressure is just like ever so slightly on the paper. So having that like that light grip so you're not overly controlling it, to me, I sometimes can get just more organic shapes, things that look more realistic than over blending everything. Especially in a landscape like this, when variation is so important. If there's not enough variation, it's gonna look very boring. Like, there's not that much going on in the foreground, so I have to add a lot of variation to make it even remotely interesting. I mean, I guess the main focus is the mountains, but like, Still want something interesting going on in the foreground. Oh, this cough drop is working, thankfully. The little palette I'm using. This is my little travel palette. Sometimes I squeeze gouache out onto my tray. Here, I'll give you a quick peek. This is my mixing tray. It's a piece of gray plastic, basically. And sometimes I just squeeze my white paint onto that, and I sometimes squeeze my colors, but I don't know. I have to clean this soon, so I'm kind of just using up this gouache and just like, whatever. It's just easier. But I'm using a limited palette. I'm using ultramarine, English Venetian red, burnt umber, white, obviously, and some of the yellow ochre. I may add a hint of like permanent alizarin crimson or something to get some purples in the shadows and some of the reddish grasses later on. But yeah, that's down the road. I have a lot of different palettes, and I'm depending on where I'm painting in this room or in some other room or outside, I have a different palette. So you've probably seen a ton of them in my videos, a different palette for everything. Sometimes I use a stay wet palette. If I'm working on a painting that's going to last for more than one session, I definitely use a stay wet palette because then I don't have to remix all my mixes. But in this case, like just a quick sketch, I'm just using it as I go. I'm going to be done after this painting and then I move on to the next thing. All right. Okay. I was like, where am I? What's happening? This rock on this hill is like a little lighter before it comes down. We'll see if that dries dark enough. I also like to use like directional brush strokes to kind of help with the flow of the land masses. I'm gonna do a hint of red actually on this little hill here, just to kind of brighten that, and then I'll paint over it a little bit, just to kind of get that effect of that sun moving over the landscape. So if the sun is over here, it's kind of sending like long shadows this way, long streaks of light. So having a bit of this, and then I'll probably cover up some of it, then it'll at least like peek through a little bit. I'm still using the 1/2 inch brush, by the way. Once I get through this second layer of like little, I'm kind of defining the different, the variation in the foreground especially. Like I want to have a path here, I'm going to have some boulders, maybe some bigger grasses. Then once I'm done with that, then I'll switch to the smaller brush, probably a smaller round brush to do some finer detail on the mountains and little grasses here and there. This is an A4 sketchbook. This is 12 colors. This palette, I mean. I do have a list of supplies that I use frequently. Actually, I'll have to add the brushes to that. Like, I should do that tomorrow. Sometimes, oops. Actually, I'll probably do a blog post about it. I don't know. I want to send a newsletter out, a thing about it. If they're sold out, I might not do that, but distracted. I'm mixing up some purple, like shadowy color, and now I'm gonna do the pathway. First I'm gonna like kind of draw it, I guess you could say. There is a little stream that kind of runs through this, but I don't want to, that would, I think would be just be a bit too much going on. So instead I'm just going to do some of this deeper color and kind of define some of these little, there's like lots of little dips and little, it's very boggy section. Lots of heather. An A4, it's like a letter size in the US. It's very similar to letter size. Still using the big brush. I'm gonna kind of block in some stones. So I know exactly where I might end up covering them, but at least it'll give me an idea of like where I'm going with that. There were tons of these amazing, huge boulders scattered throughout the landscape. Oh, thank you, Essie. Thank you everyone who has ordered them. It's so exciting. Okay, so this is a case where I'm going to switch back to my bigger brush because I'm going to do some grassy textures, and the way I like to do that is let the brush dry out, like not completely, but it's mostly dry. Like it's a tiny bit damp, and then I'll spread, I'll spread the hairs like this. And because it's a little bit damp, it holds its shape better than if it was dry. And now you can either do that before or after you load paint onto it. It's actually easier if you do it after. So I'll do that. And then you can start touching that on there. Like that. It's probably, I'll do a close-up. Oh god, it changed the color so much. Focus on something else. Fix the color. Excuse me, it's like not the right. See this? Will this help? Focus on something blue and autocorrect. Yeah, that helped. What was I saying? Oh, I'll show you a close-up once I'm doing a color that actually shows up. But you can do that with any of the flat brushes. It's just really easy to get a lot of those grasses in before, like when you're using a bigger brush. Okay, so I'm gonna get a bit more shadow in these the base of these mountains back here. And that way the grasses will stand out more in front of them. Sorry to miss the stream. Hi! Aw. I mean, I totally understand, of course. If you get called into work, not much you can do about that. So I definitely want to I don't want them to be too big because then the scale of the grass won't make sense. Hi, Corvulus. To make some more purple, I think. Oh god, that's way too much red. Feeling super inspired to paint. Oh, you just reminded me. I was gonna say, if anyone is painting along or painting your own thing, feel free to like tag me on if you post a story of it on Instagram or something so I can see what you did. Also, what I really want to ask you guys is what are the top 1 or 2 art supplies you've discovered this year that you now cannot live without? Or it could be something that was just so awesome that you had to buy it and you love it. I'll tell you mine in a few minutes. Or maybe if you want, you can guess. Some of you probably know. Some of you might be very surprised. And I won't say my brushes, I promise. So I'm gonna switch to my smaller one. It's a 3/8 inch, and I'm gonna kind of go back and forth between these two depending on what size grass clumps I want to paint, and also like some of the highlights on the rocks. So you might see me switching between these two, but I'm still using the flat ones. I'm gonna save the fine, the round brush. I'll switch to the round brushes once I'm closer to the end because those are for like the really fine details. Thank you, Laura. Toned paper. Ah, golden so flat. I actually still need to try that. A lot of people told me it's really fun. You tried watercolor pencils for the first time yesterday and loved them. Okay, May, we're so similar because my thing is the same. I tried watercolor pencils and water-soluble graphite this November, December. I mean, I've like touched them and used them once or twice in the past, but I did not try to understand it, and I thought it was just awful. So I like put that out of my mind. But I actually got a nice set of them now, and I love them. I have a sketchbook somewhere. So this is this is like all I've been doing lately. This is water soluble graphite. These are just, I've like every night on the couch, I've been painting with them. Do you call it drawing or do you call it painting? And then these are the water soluble pencils. Lots and lots of layering I've discovered is necessary. If you just do like one layer, you wash it away really easily. So I've kind of gotten into like I've gotten better at it now, but I'm still nowhere near where I want to be because I want to be able to take them outside with me, and just like do really quick fun sketches. So these are all inspired by the trip to Skye. Definitely getting a hang of the landscape though, because like if I do something like this, it's way easier than this. Building up the depth I need in a landscape, I'm finding that to be really challenging, but I'll get there. Like I will get there. But just like trying to layer different colors and see what happens. sometimes just one color is fun. I love the ultramarine on this paper. That blue looks so cool on this paper. And having a white, not gel pen, a white Posca pen is perfect, like the perfect combo. So he's a little chunky. Oh, and this is fun. Drawing with the Posca pen, the white Posca pen, and then drawing with the watercolor pencils on top of that. It makes the color like become super, super vibrant all of a sudden. Yeah, I think that's it. But that has been like my favorite sketching medium lately. I love it. Okay, I'm gonna catch up with chat. I knew as soon as we started talking about art supplies, I would just be geeking out about this. Portable Painter Micro, tickets to an art museum. A lot of people seem to be trying the water-soluble pencils lately. New to gouache, awesome. Gouache. Stay wet palette, oh yeah, definitely. Those make such a difference. Cold press paper, yes. Handmade watercolor. Super granulating colors, oh yes, I did also enjoy those. A book called Drawing with Charcoal. Etcher Lab sketchbooks, watercolors, metallic watercolors. I got the Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer, is that how you say it? I did a whole swatching video about this if you want to see that. By the way, these are my go-to water brushes. They have like a syringe system. So you put the brush in water and you go shoot and it sucks water up. But I don't have a super fine point in these. These are just like kind of standard, but I like the big size. The softness is nice too. So I pretty much use this one for my details and this one for my bigger stuff. But they flow, like the paint comes out, or the water comes out so easily compared to my old brushes. Oops, oh god. I just, see? You have to be careful not to like plunge it when you're painting, otherwise it'll just like gush out. But yeah, I've been loving those. I just ordered a couple other brands to kind of compare. You call it painting. Okay, so drawing with water-soluble pencils, and then once you add water, it's painting. Just catching up with chat. Lovely chunky birdie. Thank you guys. Oh, the Caran d'Ache. I also have the Neo Color 2s. I want to play with those more on bigger paper though, like big watercolor paper. Because I don't like them for small details. They're too like blunt. I need the fine point if I'm like drawing, especially on a smaller size. Selman and Burn sketchbooks. Yes, I've been loving them. Markers are my second. I still love my markers. I haven't been using them as much lately because we've been obsessing with the pencils. Those water brushes are the Caran d'Ache. It's pronounced Dürer. Dürer. Yeah, I am going to compare them to a couple other brands though and just see. All my gouache is now dry. I didn't think that would work and I was right. Oh, actually. Let's do the highlight on the rock. Mm. Yeah, what I want to do is basically take out the water soluble pencils just for like quick hikes with the water brush and do some quick fun sketching. I think they would be very conducive to that. Too yellow. My reference photo is over there across the room on my desk on my iPad screen, so it's tiny. Which may or may not be helping because I can't see any detail in it. I can just see like major shapes. So, you know, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe I'm onto something. Put the reference photo across the room. Pigment sticks? I don't think I've heard of those. Oh my gosh, everyone seems to be asking me if I've tried the M-gram gouache, and I have not. I actually emailed them to ask if they would want to send me a couple tubes, and I would do like a video about it, but didn't hear back. But I could not find it for a decent price here. Plus, I have so much gouache already. I can't justify buying anymore. I need to like go through my current stash because it just feels wasteful otherwise. I don't know. I'm interested in them. I think, you know, eventually I'll give it a go. Wait, sorry. Hold on. I didn't mean to say M-gram. I meant to say Daniel Smith. Whatever the new one is. Yes, Daniel Smith. M-gram is the one that has honey in it, which I've never tried. But again, I have so much gouache. I think the first week that gouache came out, the Daniel Smith, I had probably a dozen emails, tons of comments on my YouTube videos, messages on Instagram, and it was just like, like, I haven't, like, I would if I could, but I can't justify buying all this extra gouache right now. I've heard a lot of people in January are doing a no-buy routine. I don't know how long that typically lasts for, but I have tried acrylic gouache once and wasn't a huge fan. I just really like to be able to layer into my paintings and blend into underlayers. That's just how I learned gouache, trial and error. And without that, I feel it just doesn't feel right. But I do have to say acrylic gouache is extremely appealing for its permanency. Like, once I'm done with a gouache painting, I either have to scan it immediately because I always end up splashing them, or, you know, put a sealant on it of some kind, like a wax sealant or something, just to make sure it lasts. And acrylic gouache is just done. Like, you're just done. It's pretty awesome. So I need more purple shadows, I think, because then the lighter bits will stand out more. This rock is gonna get a nice shadow, which will be partially covered. This one as well. Some longer. Definitely gonna be gonna have to cover a fair bit of the shadow, but like without it, it's harder. I find it's harder to add shadows after. Like, once I do my highlights on my grasses, I'm not gonna be adding that, so. But we do have a little pathway, which is kind of like this. Will also partially be covered. It's a very rough, stony path, though, so I'm going to use a lot of dry brush for that. It's nothing new, not really worth getting if you already have gouache. I mean, that's kind of what I thought. I like to compare brands, and I love Daniel Smith watercolors, so I was very intrigued by it. Oh, thank you, Leslie. Happy New Year, everybody. Yes, since I won't be conscious tomorrow. No, just kidding. Since I will not be streaming tomorrow, happy early New Year, everyone. Tomorrow I'm gonna be totally chilling out, trying to stay up till midnight, like always, which is getting harder and harder. That's as I get older. It's mainly because we're not going anywhere. Like, I would easily stay up if I was with a lot of people, do it at a party or, you know, that socialization thing. But I'm probably just gonna be sketching and have some champagne and hang out. And, you know, I'm tired by 11 p.m. typically. Yeah, I don't remember how big the fireworks are here. There is a castle nearby, so they always do fireworks on the holidays. But we keep our cats in at night anyway, so it won't be an issue. But I do feel bad for the pets, especially puppies who, I guess some cats are really scared of fireworks, but in my experience, there seem to be more puppies that are more terrified. A good alternative for clove oil. Yes, I remember seeing something somewhere. I can't think of it, but I do know some people have said it helps to completely clean your palette, your travel palette, like make it empty. Add vinegar or your favorite disinfectant like bleach or something, clean it out completely so there's like nothing in there. Add your gouache and add some of the Winsor Newton watercolor medium, I think it's called, which technically helps it helps it stay wet longer. And if you use water, use distilled water. I've heard those three things really, really help, but I've personally never had issues with the mold in it, and I can't vouch for those techniques. I don't know how well they work. If you don't have like an alternative, I just can't think of like a good. The clove oil doesn't interfere with painting. That's the thing. Like, I barely use any of it when I use it, and it just doesn't do anything to the paint. But I'm afraid if you add like some kind of disinfectant to your paint, you might ruin it. Like, it might thin it down or make it weird. So you got to do tests for sure. Whatever advice you get, just do some tests before you ruin like a whole palette. Or if anyone else in chat has a really good alternative, please feel free to share it. Okay. Maybe now I can go back to my highlight grasses. Your 14th anniversary. Aw, happy anniversary. Why would anyone use acrylic gouache as opposed to flat acrylic paint? I think they just behave differently. Like acrylic is, I don't know if it's just the brands I've used, but in general it feels a little goopier, for lack of a better word. Whereas gouache dries really fast, even acrylic gouache, I think. Probably not as fast as regular gouache, but I think the paint itself just has slightly different, I mean, obviously has a different binder, so the paint itself is going to behave a little bit differently. So I think it's just a preference thing. Yeah. Or if you paint large, gouache, unfortunately, really only comes in small tubes. There's a few exceptions. So it's not cost effective if you're painting large. If you're painting really large, using a big tube of acrylic or a big tub of acrylic is going to save a ton of money. Like all of my big canvases, I either use oil or acrylic because it just lasts. Like I don't run out immediately. I don't know, but I haven't enough experience with acrylic gouache to really say what the major differences are. Like there's obviously flat gouache or flat acrylic paint, right? So it looks completely flat in the end. But I don't know how the consistency, like I don't know how different that is. But maybe if you are painting really large, flat acrylic would be better, because I think you can get it in bigger tubes and stuff. I hope I didn't mess up all that phrase. Like I was trying to say acrylic gouache, not acrylic paint. You probably got what I was saying, right? Acrylic gouache has more of a matte finish than acrylic. Oh, than acrylic paint. Okay, got it. Yeah, Lulabelle, I don't know if it is that medium that's doing it or if it's the whole process of completely like disinfecting your palette, using distilled water, using that. Like, I think it has to do with all of those things combined. But I do understand clove is a bit strong. Clove, I love clove. I love clove candles. I love clove scent. So clove oil to me is no problem at all. I love it. But it is a bit strong. I actually started using lavender oil, or sorry, yeah, it was like a lavender medium with my oil paint. And I love lavender, but that stuff stinks. Oh my gosh, I couldn't use it. I could only use it outside, and even then it was way too strong for me. So, is the music in the background copyright free? It is music from Epidemic Sound. That's how I use Epidemic Sound for all of my music and all of my videos. You basically pay a subscription, yearly subscription, and you basically have the rights to use that music while you're subscribed. If I unsubscribe, I cannot upload any new videos with the music, but my old videos are still okay because I technically like buy the license for when it's active, if that makes sense. And I have like hours and hours of this music saved, so I can just like pop on a playlist really easily. But some of the songs are more common. Like you hear a lot of the same songs on YouTube here and there. Like everyone uses the same few songs in certain types of videos, but you know. I also at one time was using Artlist, but I stopped that because Epidemic Sound also offers sound effects. So if you need like wind or forest sounds, because like a drone doesn't record sound. So if I want my drone to have sound on it, I either have to use my camera and record sound or add like a windy forest sound effect over it. And Epidemic Sound has sound effects, whereas Artlist you had to pay extra, I think. They may have changed it by now, but where was I? Things. I'm kind of getting towards the end of the painting because, you know, I'm not gonna go overboard with this one. But we'll do a tape peel at the end for sure. And although anybody watching who used to watch my normal streams is like, ha, right, Sarah. Because anytime I said, I'm almost done, I would stream for another hour without even realizing it. especially when people keep asking me questions. All right, I'm gonna switch to my small fine brush and do some of the snow on the peaks. There's a tiny bit of snow up here. I don't know how far I'll zoom. That was pretty far. I couldn't go farther, but it might get blurry. So I'm just using, oh, I need new. I'm just using the tiny brush and I'm going to dust it on. Is it blurry? Sorry. I just wanted to show a close-up of what I'm talking about when I say I basically load up the brush with just pure white, and the smaller one is a slightly stiffer, so you can get finer details. But no water at all, just dust it over. I probably should have made the sky a little bit more blue. It is a little more blue than the camera showing. Like it kind of brightens it up on the screen, but if I had more blue in the sky, I would make this white on the snow peak a little bit more white. It would look a little bit brighter. But yeah, that's the close-up. Okay. I'm like really far away from the computer now. I'm sorry. my face cam is a body cam apparently. Awkward. But luckily I have the chat next to my painting. But yeah, if you have a question about painting or brushes, because, you know, I launched the brushes today. That was kind of the reason for streaming. Put question in caps at the beginning of your sentence so that it stands out. Otherwise I might miss it, but keep asking. I'm not ignoring anyone, I promise. The sky is perfect. I mean, I wanted to get some more cloud action, so that's why I did that dry brush white in the sky. Oh, yes. Grass highlights. I'm gonna use this yellow ochre kind of color. It's titanium gold ochre by Schminke. I'm using mostly Schminke gouache today because it's my favorite. But that titanium gold ochre is just, oh, I just love it for so many things. And it's kind of perfect for all these grassy highlights. Happy New Year, sketchbook scheming. Oh, thank you, Laura. Thank you, Faith. My stream camera, this painting camera, is a very, very old Panasonic something. They don't even sell it anymore. It's a Handycam, Panasonic Handycam, and I really want a new one because this one is really bad in low lighting. Like, this is as bright as I can get it in here right now, and if I zoom too much in low lighting, it just becomes super, super grainy, and like it kind of works, but the new ones are so much better. So, nah, I don't know. Plus, I use it when I go hiking to capture seals in the distance and things from far away. It has like a 90 times zoom on it, so it's amazing for that, but it has limits. It has its limits. I guess all cameras do. But it's lasted me years. It's really nice for its age. I'm not saying like only new things work, but there are newer ones now that have better low light capabilities and some new cool features. Limited stock. Oh my gosh. That's so exciting. Yes, I'm using OBS. OBS, the classic free streaming software. It's like the old it's the old OBS. It's I haven't updated it in like 2 years. But it works, you know? I just need to plug in some cameras and you know, half the time I stream, I have something go wrong, so it doesn't really matter what I do. I'm gonna have issues. Wet and dry question. Any tips on granulating a layer on top of a dried layer? Granulating a layer. So, are you using granulating colors? As long as your under layer is more of a permanent staining color, you can pretty much layer anything on top of it. If your under layer is not staining, it's gonna lift. It just is. It's gonna blend with whatever you put on top of it. So, I mean, it's like gouache in that way. Watercolor, not all watercolors are permanent in the same sense. So, yeah, layering watercolor, you definitely have to look at the staining power of it. I think I've seen people starting with a very granulated layer and then not seal it, but use transparent watercolor medium, or is that what it's called? Ground. Transparent watercolor ground on top of it. And then that allows them to paint more without messing up the first layer. I've also seen them do that. Like, they'll do like granulating stuff and like gold foil, and then they add that ground and they can paint on top of it. I'm not sure how well it works. But there's all sorts of cool things out there you could experiment with. I think I'm gonna switch to my little guy and do some fine grasses, because it's like kind of just getting all fuzzy at the moment. So I need some like some nice crisp details to play off of that. Also, my mountains, the blue is too dark. I think. So I'm gonna cover a little bit of that dark blue with some slightly whitened blue, so it'll dry less like pure blue. Like, the pure blue is okay for little details here and there, but little cracks and stuff. But and if it's like all dark blue, it's a little distracting. Oh, thanks, Laura. Oh, sorry. Question from Germany. What makes Schminke your favorite? It's the consistency and the power. The power! And the color selection. Like, I just love the colors. I love the consistency. It's I used to think Winsor Newton was my favorite, but occasionally the Winsor Newton will be a little bit too runny. And lately, the last year or two especially, I've been using less and less thinner layers of gouache, and I'll just go straight into like the thick layers. And then the Winsor Newton's too runny, so I have to like, mix it and then wait for it to dry slightly and then use it. But don't get me wrong, I still love my Winsor Newton, and it's so affordable here. I can get so much Winsor Newton. I can buy like 2 tubes of Winsor Newton for the same price as 1 Schminke tube. So yeah, I still buy it, but I love, like, to me, the Schminke consistency is my perfect consistency. I think it is so personal though, like I don't know. It's so personal. Sorry, question. I saw a question. Have you tried Daniel's with the watercolor yet? Sorry, I'm laughing because we talked about this earlier. I have not. I have not. I would like to someday, but at the moment I have way too much gouache. I need to use what I have, and then maybe I'll buy some if I can find it. Oh, I was gonna switch to my smaller brush. Let's do some fine details. Since I didn't show the rigger brush yet, I'll show you. I need to tilt this slightly. Okay. So, what I like to do, since this rigger brush is very soft, like, I don't know, you can tell. It bends all the way to the ferrule pretty much. It's very soft. And the reason I like the very, very long bristles is because it holds a bit more water, holds a bit more pigment than the smaller ones, so I can get longer grasses. With this size painting, I don't need a huge blade of grass, but I will have some longer leaning ones, and I'm just gonna have to constantly reload, so, which I'm used to. It's just how I do it. But basically I'll do a couple brush strokes, then I'll reload, and then I'll keep going. But it doesn't hold too much water, where it's like some of the rigger brushes that are wider, you get blobs of water and paint all of a sudden without meaning to, whereas the super thin one like this is a little bit, I think it's easier to tell how much is in it. Colleen had a question, how did you decide on how many brushes to have in my set? It was purely a size thing. Like, my favorite size brush changes all the time, but I just went off my past experience with other brushes, so I know I absolutely love 3/4 inch. That's probably one of my all-time favorites. And that, anything between that and a small detail brush is ideal, because I like to step down my sizes. So, you know, if I was allowed X amount of brushes, I was like, I'll take that. And then I knew I wanted a couple detail brushes, and it, you know, 7 brushes wasn't too many, so I was like, okay, let's do it. I mean, some people only use 1 brush for all of their paintings, and that's awesome, but I feel like I finally found, I could probably do with 1 or 2 less, but I wanted to have the variety so people could pretty much get the most out of them. If you do watercolor or gouache or different styles of painting, like technical painting versus very loose painting, I feel like the 7 brushes helps cover all the bases. You might find you only use a few of them in the set, but it's also good to have backups. I guess it just depends on what techniques you like to do. I used to try to use like very few brushes in one sitting. I would be like, oh, I'm only going to use 1 brush or 2 brushes at the most. I don't know why. I just thought like that's how I should do it. But nowadays I'm like a brush addict. I have so many brushes, and I'll just use as many as I feel like it. Is this in focus? Okay, so clearly that's not dark enough. Let's add a little shadow. Nope. I don't want it to be too dark or too light, which is always the trick with gouache, isn't it? Justin, hi! Oh man, So many cool people coming in to say hi. I am like insanely flattered when other artists come in. Sorry, this is the part where I have to like hold my breath because my hand is very shaky. It might not seem like it, but if I'm not careful, like my grass will be like a zigzag. So there we go. That's dark enough. Everyone go follow Justin, another absolutely amazing artist. I feel like there's so many artists that I should have shouted out today, but probably missed, and I'm sorry. I feel very rusty with streaming, I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, I was so nervous before today's stream. Lovely to see you painting live. Well, I'm glad you guys are having fun. I think the problem is because I've been making videos for so long. With videos, you're in control of everything and you don't have to share it until it's all perfect, although they're not ever perfect. But there's no pressure. Whereas with live stream, everything can go wrong and usually things go wrong. And you're also pulled out of your creative mind to talk to people, which I also, obviously I love that part, otherwise I wouldn't stream. But, you know, it's a totally different feeling, a different experience. Whereas if I'm painting silently at my desk and recording it, I mean, yes, I have to pay attention to the camera angles and all of that, but yeah, you can kind of just shut off your brain in a way. Whereas painting live, you always have that presence. But I have to admit that there have been a lot of times over this winter and this fall and the summer that I really miss streaming, because I used to stream so much and it was such a big part of my life and a big part of my routine and a big part of my practice even, that it really was kind of shocking to my system when I stopped. But I accomplished so much by stopping that I realized why I remembered why I stopped. But like I was like, why can't I just stream once in a while and have fun with it? And then the nerves build up because you go so long without streaming and you're like, oh, I can't do it. Oh, I shouldn't. Maybe that's just me. Which is weird because when I'm painting live in front of people, like in person, at the last few events I've gone to, I'm not nervous. It's so chill. It's so easy. I don't know what that is. Did you see the craft almost note? I missed it. Hold on. Shoot. We're now 70%. Oh my god. This is so cool, you guys. I had no idea what to expect. I had no idea. So now this shows me, like, okay. We have a starting point now. If in the future we do more of these or, you know, whatever, different products, there's a starting point. So yeah, this rigger brush is my favorite brush for long grasses, for tree branches, that kind of thing. Anything that needs to be long and skinny, and usually what I do is this. Are you ready? I usually like, I don't know what you call it except scrape it. Like I basically go back and forth like this really fast on the paper, and where it lands, and it's like, that's grass now. Oh god, I just painted my lampshade. And it just makes it like feel very, I could never paint as organic as I want to paint unless I go fast. Like grasses, if I sit there and focus on each grass, it's gonna be so, it's too uniform and it won't look real, it won't feel real. Whereas if I'm just kind of like, then it has that nice spontaneous feel that nature has. Imposter syndrome. Yep, occasionally imposter syndrome wins, but yeah, it's just, I think that's just a thing I work through. The more you do something, the less scary it is too. So when I used to stream all the time, it was like more normal and just do it. But why did you cut down on live streaming? A few reasons, but the big reasons were I wanted to spend the majority of my time painting outside. And I realized when I am painting outside, I can bring my camera and I can make a video with it. And I realized doing long form content that lives on my YouTube channel is another way to grow my business. Whereas long live streams are not consumed by the same type of people or as many people. It's just a totally different business model, really. And like for so long, I was struggling to have a really good routine of going out and painting. And when I paint outside, I learned so much more. So that was like a big part of it. But I was like, well, if I'm doing that, I'm gonna make videos out of it anyway. And then it just snowballed into what it is now. Like I really didn't know how far I would take that, but now I love making videos outside. I love sharing that process. It's hard, but you know, it's so rewarding. And I miss this part of streaming, like just having casual conversation in the moment with people while I stream, but I never do as good work when I'm streaming and I never do as much. It's just a whole different experience, you know? And I had to weigh the pros and cons of each and where I needed to take my business for my business to survive. Oh, and the other side of it was when the pandemic hit, it was like, I realized my classes were the thing that was saving me. So I was like, I'm going to pour everything I have into making these classes, make them as good as I can. And that takes so much time. It was like an insane amount of hours, not just filming, but editing and everything. It was so hard to stop that snowball once it got started. So, I don't know. There's so many times where I'm like, oh, I really want to go back to streaming regularly. And then I realize it's almost like I have to sacrifice what I want for what I need at the moment. Maybe someday I'll be like in this place where I can stream regularly and it's like part of my schedule. Maybe once Wolfie's my assistant and I have things going smoothly and I can make regular videos and stream regularly. I don't know what that would look like, but yeah, you got to weigh the pros and the cons of each, really. And where you post your content matters if you're trying to make a living doing art, try to make a living online. So if you love making short form content, you probably will do really, really well on social media like Instagram and TikTok and all that. I hate it. So I love making long form content, not as long as streaming, but like, orchestrating a video from start to finish and thinking of all the interesting camera angles and all the different music and all the different editing and all the different aspects that go into it it's like a whole new art form to me. It still feels new to me, even though it's not. It's like you can learn so much every single video you make and try to make the next one better and the next one better. It's like a different art form and it's so fun. So I really fell in love with making videos, and I realized I'm gonna do that for a while and see where that takes me. Skillshare, yeah, Skillshare was like saved me during the pandemic, really. Skillshare was, sorry, I'm like still zoomed in over here. Skillshare was my saving grace. It was, excuse me. I think a lot of people just like when they had or were forced to stay home or had more time on their hands, they're like, let's just learn a new skill. Or they were already doing art and they wanted to try a different type of art. So I guess I was just in the right place at the right time with that. And I don't know. It all changes though. It ebbs and it flows. Like now I barely make any of those long classes on Skillshare, but I've been focusing 100% on Patreon in the last several months, and just putting all of my huge effort into Patreon and YouTube. And it's like right now it's the perfect combination, because I get the community aspect through Patreon, but I get the fun video creation stuff through YouTube. And there is the fun comments, like answering comments, talking to people in comments is also a nice kind of community thing, but it's not as many regulars. There are definitely a few of you, and you know who you are. I love seeing the regulars in the comments. But, you know, some people have been on my Patreon for 5-6 years, so that's a pretty cool experience. I really love my patrons. And I was thinking, like, if I'm gonna do live streams, I should probably do live streams for my patrons, because they give so much. Like, I want it to be a give and take thing, obviously. So it's like, if I can manage an extra live stream, I'll do that for Patreon. If I can manage a bunch of live streams, then maybe 1 or 2 of those will be free on YouTube or something like that. Or Twitch. Oh, thanks, Rob. I know a lot of, like, I've commented on people's YouTube videos and I never receive a response. And I completely understand that, because as a YouTuber, I know what it's like. But like, from the beginning, I was like, I am going to answer every single comment, or at least like the comment so they know I read it. That was like my main thing when I started getting into it. I was like, I don't want it just to be a one-sided thing. It requires hours every single week. So what I've done is actually add blocks of time into my days throughout the week. It's like usually different each week. And that's for YouTube comments, which probably sounds ridiculous, and I don't know how long I can do that for, but I try. And like, that is genuinely one of the best parts of YouTube, is just how many people keep coming back and keep leaving comments and really engage with you, because there's a lot of people who watch who are also artists, and I watch them, or people who have really good advice, who are genuinely super excited about gouache or whatever the video is about. So I want to engage in that. I love passionate people. I'm a passionate person. I'm drawn to passionate people, and I can usually tell in the comment if the person is passionate about what they're talking about. So it really draws me to them. So that's why I think I'll just keep doing that. Because when I open my comments, I never know what I'm going to find. Sometimes it's not great. Like, let's be honest, there's definitely trolls, but a lot of time, like most of the time, it is so fun. It just takes time, and I literally have to schedule it in, or it's not happening. But I think that's a big reason, like, people continue to comment, or maybe it's part of the reason. I don't know. I think it helps, but you know, it just depends on the week, I suppose. Oh, thank you, Sylvia. Yeah, once I started really pouring a lot of time into, I basically post once a week on Patreon, and that has been a game changer. Like, in terms of growing my Patreon, but also me feeling like a connection with people. Because I think people in general like to know what's coming up. They like to have a schedule for the most part. So if they know every single month on the second week of the month they're going to get a tutorial, and the third month they're going to get this and this and this, like, they know to keep coming back, and it keeps me going. And yeah, I just think it really helps. But it all requires scheduling. Like, there's no way I could do anything close to what I do now if I didn't have like a super strict schedule. And I have to admit, I got really messed up during COVID, and like when I caught COVID, and then more recently the flu, like being sick, that made it so hard. And I don't know if you guys, if any of you experienced the brain fog, the struggles of, I feel like I still have it sometimes. Like just putting a sentence together, um, like comprehending a schedule weeks and weeks in advance, and just keeping up with that stuff was so hard. Yeah, I think sketches and scrubs, like the problem with doing it on the fly all the time is like you never get a break. And it can lead to burnout because I used to do that too. But now when I know, like, okay, every other day or something, I'll schedule a half an hour, or every 2, 3 days, I'll schedule 1 hour and just go, because I have two YouTube channels, so I go through all the comments on both channels. And occasionally I'll answer them in between then, but like I try to keep it scheduled, otherwise it does completely take over, and like I feel like I'm always thinking, oh, I have to go answer the comments, and it gets to be too much. And people can wait a day for an answer. I mean, I love answering right away, but like that, if you're not careful, can be, as your channel grows, you'll see like it just keeps coming. It lasted forever. Yeah, I seriously think I'm still getting through it. I've had to be so strict with my schedule to get through it. Oh, I keep letting my brush dry out. I'm like, it's gonna take me 1,000 years to paint these grasses. All right, so. Oh, hey, it's the funny song I used for like the cat montage on my video. Whenever I do like a funny little cat montage, I always do a goofy music in the background. Sometimes I just, when I'm using the rigger brush, I'll just kind of like hold it loosely in my hand, and I'll do unpredictable things. Like I let it just do its thing, because nature is unpredictable and random, and if it's, otherwise it's too perfect and then not interesting. Sometimes it messes it up. Yeah, you just learn from it and you move on. But I think for the most part, like I just like having some randomness. I love abstract art. I'm always on that struggle, like I want to go abstract. I want to do more abstract stuff. But I also want stuff to be recognizable. So sometimes when the brush just doing its thing, it gives me that abstract fix. Okay, so I didn't use my big brush, but this is, or my bigger round brush, but this one also has slightly stiffer bristles. See how it kind of springs back into place pretty fast? So it's really good for details because it's super, super fine point. Like, it's hard to get it without water in it, but that tiny, tiny point allows me to get tiny details if I want to. But I also, with gouache, even though I don't usually use a round brush with gouache, I'll also use this for a dry brush. So the round shape can just give me a slightly different stroke than a flat brush. A flat brush, sometimes you end up with just having those chunks, those squares. If you're not careful, you can get like really obvious square or rectangle shapes, you know. But with a round brush, you can usually get some nice or soft organic brush strokes that aren't obviously from a square brush. And yeah, so if like I want to do a couple stones, my gouache is dry. Hold on, let me mix some. If I want to just do some like stonework, let's need more white. I mean, you could, I'm sure we all have different strategies for getting all these different types of, it's a pretty much dry, like you can see it's just coming off easily, but it's not wet, not goopy. But because I'm not pointing the tip at it, I'm using like this area right here, and I'll just kind of sometimes I come back in and wipe it with my finger. If I try doing this with a flat brush, I usually end up getting, I mean, not always, but sometimes I'll get lines or that obvious flat shape. And depending what I'm painting, like with rocks, I usually want them, some of them at least, to be a little bit more rounded. So, yeah. You could do this with a small brush too. Did I miss any questions? I mean, yeah, I know some people comment just to help the video do well, which is so nice. Like, if you were one of them, thank you. That's really awesome. But I still want to respond. I still want to make people just know that they're heard, you know. This looks like a stream, doesn't it? So some people are going to see a stream, other people are going to see a pathway. If I want to do really small stones, like, you know, I can use the point of the brush, but does Craftometer from the UK or the US? I think we said UK. We found out UK. I mean, they're based in the UK. They might have warehouses around the world though, I'm not sure. Sometimes that makes shipping to different countries easier. I'm gonna use my small round brush. I love her, but she can talk. What brand of gouache do you find the most opaque? Well, my Schminke is amazing. I mean, there's so many that are good. I haven't compared all of them either. To be honest, the Shinhan gouache I've been trying is really nice. And I never paint with a single color on its own. Well, I do, but very rarely. And when you mix multiple colors together, it's hard to tell just how opaque each color is. But I think some colors they seem to be a little bit more opaque or a little bit less than others. I haven't really tried any lower end brands, so I can't quite be a fair person to ask. Like, I've really only used the good stuff. But like Winsor Newton is super affordable here. Shinhan is so affordable. That's really cheap here. And they work great. So it's not like you have to spend tons and tons of money to get nice gouache. The other thing is you don't need a ton of colors. Like, this whole painting is like 3 or 4 colors. You can do so much with a few colors. Color mixing. I know it's a bit daunting at first, but ease into it. If you can, just buy a few tubes of the primaries, maybe a couple convenience colors like red, yellow, blue for sure. Burnt umber would be nice to have. Black would be nice to have. White, obviously, you need white. Cobalt turquoise is good because it's nearly impossible to mix that color. But all like that set with Shinhan here, Shinhan I think is like £3 a tube, something like that. Sometimes it's on sale. Like that's so cheap for a really nice set of colors. Or Winsor Newton's like a pound more than that per tube. I mean, yeah, Schminke is expensive here. Maybe in other places Schminke is not as expensive. Like, I don't know, but it's like 7 or 8 or even more per tube. So yeah, that sucks. It's so nice though. The color selection is my favorite. I have specific colors that I just love from them. Gold, the titanium gold ochre especially. I love that one. And their like colors vary slightly between different brands, but you can kind of mix and match. If you find one color you love and it's an expensive brand, just get that one color and then buy your primaries through a cheaper set, a cheaper brand. How do you choose the different brushes? What I did you choose from a group of different hairs, ferrules, handles? Yeah, like Craftamo gave me a huge list of like materials basically, like, but really you just had to I just had to come up with what I wanted. So I knew I wanted really soft hairs for certain brushes, slightly stiffer for other brushes. Length is another thing. Colors was easy to choose, like, you know, things like that were easier, but it was really the width and the length and the softness that I struggled with because I mean, I knew for the most part what I wanted, but once I had to get the brushes in my hand and actually try them for a while and really, you know, see if they worked the way I wanted them to. So that's why it took a while. It took like two or three, I have 2 or 3 sets that I went through to get to the final brushes. I feel like I should do a little splash. Yes, I have it. This is my favorite splash tool. It's just like a cheap bamboo toothbrush, but the hairs are really soft, so they're really easy to splatter. So let's see. I want a bit of this shadowy blue, I think. I have never tried Schminke Gold Power. Gold Power? Is that what you called it? Splattering gouache is always a little tricky because it typically dries lighter or darker than what it appears at first, so you have to kind of constantly mix and then try it again and then mix and then try it again. And see if it dries right. The splashes, it's so much fun. It's just, I don't know, it gives it a little action, you know? Okay, I'm gonna do a couple more fine hairs, fine grasses, and then we'll do a tape peel. If anyone has any final questions, now would be a good time to ask so that I see them by the end of the stream. What strength? I have very, very strong coffee. I make cafetiere with espresso, ground espresso beans. Ground espresso. Ah, that didn't. Very, very strong. I pretty much want to chew my coffee in the morning. My second cup of coffee will always be lighter. because otherwise I go a bit crazy. But like as long as I get that first cup super strong pow, then I'm good. Then it's like whatever. I could take or leave the second cup. I always want more coffee, but I know from experience I shouldn't, that it's gonna be bad. My sleep schedule gets all messed up if I have too much, and especially lately because I've been sick as well. I don't know if it's just being sick. Like I can really only handle 1 cup when I'm sick, which sucks. I really want more all day. Thank you guys. Tape Hill. Aw, thank you, Madge. I buy my coffee from a place down in England called... I'll think of it before the end of the stream. Cliffhanger. Cupsmith. They're called Cupsmith. And I buy their espresso version. I'm just doing some like deep blue grasses. I mean, this painting, I could definitely keep going and keep going and keep going, but my throat's really hurting. No! No! Abort. No. Okay, we're good. We're good. I was about to say, I could just keep going and going with this painting, but then I'll probably do something I regret. Every time. I swear, like half of my paint-alongs on my Patreon, like towards the end, I'll drop my brush on my painting and a big swatch of red will be across it. Like, I've done some weird stuff on my paintings. Luckily with gouache you can layer, but like with watercolor, there's... Oh, the worst is when I'm doing watercolor and I don't realize it, but I have pigment on my paper towel. And I'd be like, okay, now we're gonna lift the color out of the sky to make some nice fluffy clouds. And oh god, no! And there's like bright orange or something on the paper towel, and it's just completely... And then I have to sit there scrubbing it with clean water and like, oh, please come out. Well, we can call this a mountain stream or a mountain path because I'm not going to sit there and do any more rocks. I'm done. I'm going to draw the outline. Let's go with purple. I like to draw the outline before I take the tape off because the tape is like my straight edge. No, almost. It would be easy enough to do this after the fact, but just have to be careful not to draw over the sky. All right, we did it. Okay. That was almost a disaster. Although I've dropped my phone like twice every day since I got it, and it's still fine. Peel. Hope it's crisp. Okay. Oh yeah. That is crisp. Oh, I painted outside of the edge a little bit, but that's okay. Yeah. Crisp. I'm like determined to give you the ultimate experience as much as I can while I live stream. Oh. Oh, see, if I was editing a video, this would all be seamless. I'm sorry to those of you who don't like tape peels. Look away. But also, what's wrong with you? I'm not looking at you guys. I'm looking at my OBS to make sure it's in focus. That would be awkward if I was just like intensely staring at you guys while I was doing this. Oh yeah, crisp. I had no weird splotches. All right, there's our little sky scene. Sky, you treated me so well this year. I wish I wasn't sick, but no, I could probably scrape that off. That was pretty easy, actually. That'll dry light enough where you probably won't even see it. All right, we did it. Okay, oh gosh. I'm gonna come over here and quietly and gently move the microphone. Shh, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not gonna talk loudly because I don't know how much, because I'm really close to the microphone now. I don't want to hurt anyone's ears. So there we go. The brushes have launched. I'm going to refresh the website. Oh my gosh. Wow. 221 people recently purchased. 336 have it in their cart and they're like, I don't know. They're like, I don't know if I should do this. You should do it. No, but seriously, thank you so much to all of you who have purchased them. And if you haven't, but you've still like shared in the excitement, that means a lot to me too. And just all the encouragement, all of your lovely comments on all of my videos. It was so fun to see you guys in a live stream for the first time in forever. Your channel's been the best you've subscribed to. Oh, thank you. I really, really hope you guys enjoy the brushes, those of you who bought them. As a reminder, I would, if you use the brushes to paint something, tag me online. I'd love to see what you're making with it. And like, I think eventually I'll do a video. I'll like screen grab a bunch of that and share it in a vlog or something. So 70%, 77%. Oh, that's so amazing. That's good because that means this week I can send out a newsletter blast and they won't be completely sold out. So people won't be, they'll still have a chance to get them. And I'll share it on my social media and such. So yeah. Their different time zones are tricky though. Like you have to remember, some people aren't even awake yet. You have a gazillion brushes, but you wanted to support you. Thank you. I hope you enjoy them. Like I said, I've been using them all summer. I've been pretty much exclusively using them for all the paintings. There's been a few exceptions, but like you go back and watch any of my videos from this summer and fall, you'll probably see them. The turquoise handle remained the same the whole time. And obviously I designed them to work perfectly for my technique. It's not like it will for everyone, but if you like painting in the similar way than I paint, then you probably will like them. But I really look forward to seeing what you guys make with them. Thank you for helping me celebrate. It was kind of a fun combination of doing this with the new year. Tomorrow. Happy New Year. I'll see you all in 2023. Oh my gosh. That sounded weird. Wow. Okay. I'm going to head out now. If I missed a question or something, feel free to leave a comment. But it was really good to see you all. And, you know, if I can figure it out, if I can get back on track with my schedule, maybe we can do this more often. Thank you. All right. I'm going to put my end screen on and you can watch things. I forgot what it is, but we'll see. Okay. Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful new year. See you soon.